With the heartbreaking news of Queen Elizabeth II's passing announced yesterday, I thought it would only be right to make a video sharing her story. Her life was a remarkable one, filled with achievements and experiences that we could only dream of. Can you imagine how much she has seen in her over 70 years as queen of one of the most influential countries in the world? Today, we are going to dive into some of the remarkable events in her life and learn the story of Queen Elizabeth II. I'm Nathan, and this is 5 Minute Stories. The Queen, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, was born in 1926 in London. Throughout her young years, it was never expected that she would become the Queen. When her grandfather, King George V, passed away in 1936, it was her uncle who took the throne as King Edward VIII, meaning that King Edward's descendant would be the next heir to the throne. However, King Edward VIII did not seem to like being king very much, and many of the politicians in the government did not like him as king either. King Edward VIII proposed to American Wallis Simpson, a woman who had divorced her two previous living husbands. The British Prime Minister and his government strongly opposed this marriage and did not want to see Miss Simpson become the Queen Consort. King Edward decided to go through with his wedding and abdicated the throne at the end of 1936, becoming Britain's shortest reigning monarch. Because of this abdication, Elizabeth's father became King George VI, making Elizabeth the first heir to the throne. King George VI led a weary but courageous Britain through to victory in the Second World War. During this time, Elizabeth began to exchange letters with a certain young man in the Royal Navy, Philip, Prince of Greece. The two were married on November 20th, 1947. In 1948, they had their first son, Prince Charles. In 1952, while Princess Elizabeth was in Kenya representing her father, Philip sent her the news of King George VI's passing. She immediately returned home to London, but this time as Queen Elizabeth. The next year, at just 27 years old, Queen Elizabeth was crowned the Queen of the United Kingdom. This marked the beginning of the longest reigning British monarch, and the second longest reigning monarch in history. Just to give an idea of how long she served as the Queen, when she was crowned, Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister. Churchill was born in 1874. At the time of the Queen's passing, Liz Truss was the new Prime Minister. She was born in 1975, an astonishing 101 years after Churchill. Queen Elizabeth has truly seen more in her lifetime than most people on Earth today. She witnessed the Battle of Britain and the air raids over London firsthand during World War II, but she also witnessed the quarantine and fear brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Queen Elizabeth oversaw great changes in her British homeland and throughout the Empire. The British Empire wound down during her reign, with British influence fading overseas. Along with the fading influence overseas, however, came peace and prosperity at home. After the hardships of the 1930s and 40s, with financial difficulties and World War II, the economy of Britain bounced back, and the standard of living for British citizens rose to a level that had never been seen before. New technologies such as refrigerators, televisions, and washing machines became common in homes, and more people could afford cars than ever before. This is why, in 1957, Prime Minister Harold Macmillan said, "Most of our people have never had it so good." Despite the great economic and technological advancements made throughout her reign as monarch, if there was one thing that the Queen would say defined her reign, I believe it would be service. When she was only 21 years old, Princess Elizabeth vowed to devote her life to service. This was a vow that she continued to repeat throughout her time as Queen, and she followed through on it. She interacted with the public more and attended more public events than previous monarchs, and she adapted the monarchy to fit in the modern age. She also showed her love to the Commonwealth countries, and visited all of them at least once. Another one of Queen Elizabeth's greatest accomplishments was simply the stability that she brought to the British monarchy and the country as a whole. The chaos of her uncle abdicating the throne, followed by World War II, meant that Britain had been through enough instability. Queen Elizabeth was exactly the monarch that Britain needed, stable and reliable. Even as the power of the monarchy waned over the years, the Queen herself remained extremely popular among the British people, with her selfless service and constant steady hand. Queen Elizabeth II came to be known as a symbol of the United Kingdom over her 70 years of service. Her reign and her name will forever remain among the greatest monarchs in history.